Hey everybody, Barry here again. Junkie bobber. I forgot that I built this thing and didn't take any videos of it. That was the second last video that I released, and I think at the time it had the whole back on it with this big bar with the seat and stuff. It was quite a lot higher, and the tank was not blue. So this is marine paint for a boat, and my boss Craig painted it for me. This is the paint. It is Brightside polyurethane enamel paint, and he literally used a brush and roller to paint it. It's a little bit dirty right now, but look at the reflection in that. A brush and roller, and that is more than acceptable, and what a sweet color. So I just want to thank Craig for doing that, because man, it turned out really cool. The mosquito lost its life. So I didn't like how high it was. It was quite high because, you know, they wanted it to be comfortable, and apparently I'm not into that. So after I chopped the back off, it was quite high. Like the frame was up to about right here, and I wanted to lower it, but I wanted to keep suspension. I did have like strut bars that I made up and bolted onto the back so that it was low and it was rigid. My back is not made for rigid. Our roads are not made for rigid. They are horrible. So I relocated my shock mounts, and I regret not going over this with a grinder to clean it up, but I'll do that next time I take it apart. Anyway, so I moved that shock mount back, I'll say 2-ish inches, 2.5 inches maybe. And then on the other side, I made up a bracket to move the shock mount back, because as you guys know, well, shadow guys know, this stud here was actually right there, and the shock bolted on to like the whole rear hub assembly. So I made up this plate with the plasma cutter, bolted it on where the rear axle is, bolted it on here, and I cut off the stud, welded it on right there. So now my shock bolts on here. It did change the angle. When I mounted the shock, I mounted it with the compression, or whatever you want to call it, the height, all the way down, so that if it was a little bit too low, I could bring it up a notch, which I actually did. It's up on the first notch now, and it doesn't bottom out anymore. You can tell how low the bike is when it's settled on its suspension, because when I go over bumps, the tire just skids on the bottom of the light, and that's what I like. I like to have that light about right here, so that you've got full compression, like it looks nice and low, and it's not looking like a scrambler or anything. I also lowered the front by releasing the triples here and down there, just loosening them up a little bit, and then compressing the suspension until the forks came up and touched the handlebars on each side. So that lowered the front. It got the engine pretty much level. I was worried that the engine may tip back too far and all the oil run to the back. That's not the case. And from what I can tell, the axle is pretty well level with the engine too. It is obviously not at the same level, but it's not too bad from right here up to the engine. It's not on a real crazy angle where it's going to wear out the rear gears or anything. And then Cass and I went over it and painted the whole thing completely black, except for right here I had to do high heat paint, which needed to be flat black so it didn't burn off. But yeah, this is the Junkie Bobber. It's my little bike. All the wiring on this was in under the seat right here, under the back seat, which obviously is no more. So I found this old first aid kit and just cleaned it up and painted it. And there's my 2 igniters and a bit of wiring for the taillights and stuff. And that houses that, plus I can put mail in there if I stop at the post office. And you know, this is not the prettiest, but maybe I can get some bigger loom and put over it. And it also holds my plate. What I need to do today, replace that rear tire. Not doing so hot. Pretty sketchy in the rain. So it's time to go. And there's my new tire. Oh no, come back. I'm only putting a rear on this right now because the front is actually not bad, and that's another couple $100, so I'd like to just spend this little bit for now. It's a nice looking tire actually, it's not bad at all. I like the tread pattern. The only thing that I'm really not into is this is a white letter tire. This is not, so I'll probably grab a paint marker and actually color them in so that it matches the front, because I really do like the look of white letters on that, especially with all the black and stuff. Really sets it off. So let's change this. I have changed motorcycle tires before. This will be my third time changing a tire actually, so well, wish me luck. For anybody who's actually interested, this is a Kenda tire Challenger. Size is a 140/90/15. For anybody who's here specifically to figure out how to remove a rear tire from the 80s Honda Shadows, undo this bolt, this pinch bolt for the rear axle, undo this nut, push the whole rear axle out this way. Be mindful of this spacer, it will come off. And then you unscrew the drum brake nut all the way. This is for the adjustment. You can mark the tread or measure it to put it back in the same place. Remove this nut that holds the strut bar for your drum. Then the whole thing comes right out. I've removed the big nut holding the axle, pinch bolt, removed the nut here for adjusting the drum, and also removed the strut that holds the drum, stops it from rotating. Now I need to pull the big axle shaft out. The manual says put it up on the center stand so that the rear tire is elevated. I don't have one of those. I didn't like the way it looked coming back here, this big clunk of metal, so I took it off. So I'm gonna just use a floor jack. Much better. It's only got to come off the ground high enough so that it can rotate. Now I should be able to knock the axle out. Pull the axle out. Make sure that you don't lose this. And put this somewhere nice and dry so you're not getting dirt all over that grease that's on the axle. Now, gotta remember how this comes out. There we go. Drum can come off. And this is a good time to inspect your shoes, make sure they're all good. Also, I just remembered, don't lose this piece. It goes in your drum brake lever. That's what the stud goes through with the little nut on it. You don't want to lose that. So put it somewhere safe. And now, carefully wiggle the tire out. It's going to be tight, but it will come out. And there you go. Successfully removed. Everything in there looks pretty good. I might put a little bit of grease in around these gears there just to make sure that it's good. Cool. Change this tire now. That was relatively quick. My hands are dirty. There's the old tire. Still in good shape inside. It wasn't cracked up or anything, no rubber inside, so it's just worn out. It's just old. It's gonna be nice to have some new meat on it. The rim itself is very, very nice. It's surprising how much this reminded me of changing a pedal bike tire when I was like 12 years old with 2 butter knives and popping tubes, and my old man getting mad because he's got to go back to Gander to get another tube when I wouldn't wait for him so he could do it for me. Good old days. Yeah, so 2 hands, 3 crowbars, 2 feet. You can do it all yourself, I guess. So I'm going to install the new tire. I already put a new valve in it a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or so, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to put the tire on first and then bead seal both sides, because if that tire leaks, I might throw it all in the crusher. Much better. All popped on just fine. There's a dot right here on like every motorcycle tire, and I had it way over here and I forgot, you know, being in a rush. And I actually could twist the rim on the tire to get it to line up. So that's cool. This is supposed to be, I think, the lightest part of the tire, and it's supposed to be lined up with the valve or something. I saw it on a YouTube video once anyway, so that's where I put it. And you can see on the front tire here, there's a paint dot right there that they got lined up with the valve. You got to make sure the direction of your tire is correct. V, or the arrow pointing forward, I'll say. So that's good. I haven't put one on backwards yet, but there's still time. And now I need to balance it. So I've got this manual, I guess you'd call this a static or a single plane balancer or something. This shaft goes through the rim, nip these tight, tighten them down, and it'll find the heavy spot of the tire, will go right to the bottom, and then you add weights opposite until you can hold the tire in any position and it won't rotate. It's pretty neat. I had no idea about any of this about 3 weeks ago until I had to change 2 tires on my wife's motorcycle, and it was really cool and it was a really neat learning experience. So I just kind of want to pass it along. This is not an informational video by any means. It's just something to watch and maybe learn a thing or two. Tires all balanced up. I had to use a combination of sticky weights and the regular old motorcycle tire weights. Quite the combination, but that's it. It works. And I got it so that it won't rotate anywhere I put it. Now I'm gonna go bolt it on, and then I'm done. It looks so cool. Much better. Look at that. It actually has tread. It doesn't match the tread on the front, but it's not that far off. It's not bad. I do need to color in those letters, but not today. Not today. I gotta go home and get some supper because I am absolutely starving. I love it. Always wanted to do something like this with a Honda Shadow specifically because my wife has an 84 Shadow she's had 5 or 6 years, and I always wanted to do something like that with her bike. She wouldn't let me get my grubby little fingers next to it, so she bought me my own. True story. She was like, yeah, go chop it up, man. Have fun. great. I do want to clean it up a little bit more over time, like I said, with the loom on the wiring there, and just a couple more small pieces. I wouldn't mind making up a small cover to go around this here. There was a factory cover, but Cass didn't have it on her bike, so I took it off this one and gave it to her, along with the exhaust cover here and all the pieces that cover up the wiring on the tank. That was all on this bike. Hers didn't have it, so I took it off mine and put it on hers. That's what it's all about. I'm done. I'm all done. I'm gonna go drive this home. I don't know if it's raining right now or not, but, well, my back gets full of mud when I drive it anyway because I don't have fenders. And also, I get a face full of water because I don't have a front fender. So, that's just part of it, I guess. So I'm all done. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks to my YouTube members, patrons, and subscribers. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrods. YouTube members link is down here somewhere. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.